Thank you.
You're welcome.
All righty. Good afternoon, Rowlett High School families. Thank you so much for taking a few minutes and joining us tonight or this afternoon on our parent chat. I'm going to begin doing these each week, probably through the time that we're strictly doing virtual learning. And this gives you a chance to ask some questions, and then a chance for you to hear verbally kind of what's going on rather than just having to read it all. And so I appreciate you taking the time to be here. We are recording this session, so everybody know that, and then also know that we will post these recordings after each meeting, so that if you have to miss it for some reason and 5 o'clock doesn't work for you, or the time that we're doing it or day doesn't work for you, then you can go back and listen to it later. So remember or know that there's a back channel chat. So if you have questions, because there's so many of us on here, we won't necessarily take live questions through the video, but there is a back channel. And if you click on the chat at the bottom of your Zoom screen, you can type, or you can click on a link that will take you to a Google Sheet. And that Google Sheet is being monitored by some our assistant principals and other administrators on our campus. And so they will be answering your questions that they have the answers to through the back channel chat. We'll also post those like as an FAQ. And then if they don't know the answer to that question, then they'll just put something on there and we will research it this week, and we'll get you good answers to the best of our ability. So that is on the chat. And somebody, one of the administrators may need to repost it if it's too far up, but they can look at that. And then at the end, if we have a few minutes left, I may look at that chat or those questions and answer a few of those out loud, because that's what you're really wanting to know, those questions that you're asking. All right, and also know that there may be some questions that you ask that we don't know the answer to, or that because of the situation we're in our world right now, we may, okay, can y'all hear me? It cut out for a second. So things are changing by the minute, and so we may give an answer today that could change tomorrow. You know how it's going right now, and a lot of things we're not in control of, based on our federal or state or county or district mandates. We have to abide by all of those things. So things are changing quickly. Of course, our priority is the safety of our students and staff. So in all of these decisions, no matter what decisions being made right now, we have about 50% of people who are really happy about the decisions and 50% who are not happy. And then tomorrow when it changes, we may flip-flop who's happy and who's not happy. But we are going with it and doing the best we can. And the main people that we're thinking about right now is our students, and we're trying to do what is best for them. So bear with us. Okay, so I've made a few notes of some things that I know you want to know or you want some clarification on, without looking at any questions that you have, just because I've heard from some of you. And I am a parent as well, know that. So I understand your concerns, and I understand both sides. You wanting your students to come back into our building, and then I understand your concerns about safety as well. So first of all, let me talk about synchronous and asynchronous learning, because you've heard a lot about this maybe, and you may not completely understand it. This is kind of new to our world of education. So children ages or grades 3 through 12 are mainly going to be in what we call synchronous learning. That means students are required to be logged into their classes live for a certain amount of time every day. Most students will be required to log in for 200, and this is secondary students I'm talking about, 240 minutes a day. Elementary students, it's 180 minutes a day. So for our high school students, 240 minutes a day, we have 4 classes per day on an AB schedule. So that's basically 1 hour per class. So it makes no sense for us to have students staring at a computer for 7.5 hours a day. It's not good for them physically or emotionally or psychologically or anything else. So that number, TEA, has said that grades 6 through 12 should be logged on live for 240 minutes a day, and elementary students for 180 minutes a day. That's what synchronous learning is. That means they log on to their class. Let's say they have Algebra 2 first period on A days. So they would log on to their Algebra 2 class at 7:30 on Monday, August 10th, and they will get a lesson from their teacher. They'll get practice. It's as close to being in the classroom as we can make it. So they're required to be online while their teacher's teaching, and then they're going to even do their practice while their teacher may be monitoring instruction and monitoring feedback. And they'll get feedback from their teacher. If they have a question, they can raise their hand and their teacher will help them. This is all going to be done through Canvas, our new learning management system. So that's synchronous learning. Asynchronous learning, and this is for grades kindergarten through second grade. TEA has said that it's not the best for our students kindergarten through second grade to be logged on live during the day, partly because they're going to require some adult assistance, and the adults in their household could be working during the time that we're in school. So asynchronous is more like an online class, like a college class, where you may, somebody gives you the work, you complete the work, and you turn it in online. You may talk to an instructor online, and you may not. There's office hours usually associated with that. It's kind of like what we did in the spring. So we're improving on what we did in the spring. That was not the best situation. And of course, there was no preparation for that. So that's why we went that route. This other system is going to work much better for our students and for our staff. So synchronous learning is what will happen. Canvas, I mentioned Canvas. So let me revisit that again. Canvas is a new learning management system that Garland ISD has purchased. It's a system that's been used for years by colleges, and some other districts have used it as well. And there is in fact, let me put that in the chat right now. There's a link I'm going to post in the chat that will take you to the Garland ISD website, where there's a practice. There it is. There's a practice for students and parents on Canvas. So it's a demonstration that will give you some more information. So I encourage you before August 10th to look at that, and you'll be able to see kind of how it's going to work. The first few weeks of school are going to be a get to know you, get to know Canvas. It's going to be a time for our teachers and our kids to get used to this system that we have to adhere to right now. And then of course, for our students that are going to remain online after September 8th, then they will continue to use this system. But the first 3 weeks are going to be preparation to work online and to get to know Canvas. Let's talk about athletics. I just got a message saying my internet was unstable. Hopefully you can all still hear me. Let's talk about athletics and fine arts for students who are virtual. So first of all, from now to September 8th, or August 10th to September 8th, no one is allowed to come to campus, not even our athletic students or our fine arts students. But after September 8th, it is possible for a student to be a virtual learner and come to campus only for their athletics practice or for their band practice after school, or a choir rehearsal or something like that. Now, all of this is dependent on our county guidelines, of course. So if they change and say, you know, we can do everything but choir because our breathing is not good, it spreads the virus more often, then we'll react to that as we have to. But as of right now, if you're involved in band or choir or theater or a club, anything extracurricular, then, and you're a virtual learner, you will be allowed to come to campus to participate in those things after school. Athletics is the only one that you are also allowed to come during the school day. So let's say, I'll give an example of girls athletics. Girls athletics is 3rd and 7th period. So it's right in the middle of the day. It's like the lunch period. So if an female athletics student is comfortable coming and participating in athletics, this is after September 8th, in their athletics class, but they're a virtual learner, they will be allowed to do that. And then they'll leave school and go back home and do their 4th period class online. And then if they are interested in coming back and practicing their athletics after school, they would come back to campus. And for all of that, they have to have their own transportation. If they're an in-person learner, they would do things as they've always done it. They would come to school, they go to athletics, they go to their fourth period class on campus, and then go to their athletics practice in the gym. But if they're virtual, they are allowed to be virtual and still participate in those extracurricular things. For band and theater and choir, they will not come to class during the school day. They would only come after school. However, if they're in athletics or band or choir or theater, athletics or fine arts, and they're not comfortable quite yet coming to the campus, they are allowed to be in those things in any extracurricular activities, but not report to campus until they're ready to come to campus. Now, the other part of that is if we are playing football or if our band is marching, they would not be allowed to participate in a competition or in a performance if they're not coming to campus for those practices. And that's logical. I'm sure everybody could figure that out, because if you're marching in the band and you haven't been to school to march, then you wouldn't know where to stand or which way to move your feet or whatever. So to participate in any kind of competition or performance, they will have to come to school for those after school practices. So I hope that is clear. That's one of the big questions I've heard quite a bit. Can I still be involved but be a virtual learner? The answer is yes. Let's see. Another question that I've heard from students is about parking, especially our new drivers. They've asked about parking. When can they purchase their parking? So I'll tell you that we are going to be selling parking, but we're going to wait until closer to September 8th to start doing that, because if for some reason the county decides to push us further out than September 8th, we don't want to sell you parking that you're not able to use until a future time. So we're just going to kind of play that by ear. Seniors will be allowed to paint their parking spaces, but again, we're going to sell that closer to September 8th, and then we're going to open it up on weekends for some of our seniors to come start painting, but we're going to spread out their painting, so they would not be painting a space right next to somebody else. We're going to organize it to where it would every 10 spots there's somebody painting or something like that. So that's all to come. We're trying to focus right now on up until September 8th because so many things could change before then. Let's talk about the AB block schedule. That has changed a little bit from last year, and that was changing regardless. This was before COVID and all this. The AB schedule looks like this. Mondays and Wednesdays are A days. Tuesdays and Thursdays are B days. And Friday is an A day one week and a B day the next week and an A day the next week. So it's a rotating AB, AB. So a little bit different than last year, but so much better because our A days and our B days are much more equal with us doing it this way. And we did it this way partly for our dual credit classes and dealing with Dallas County Community Colleges, and partly because it evened out our semesters much better. So again, A days are Monday, Wednesday, B days are Tuesday, Thursday, and then every other Friday is A, B, A, B. As a synchronous learner, our students would follow that AB schedule. So on Monday, August 10th, they'll log on to their A1 class. On Tuesday, August 11th, they'll log into their B5 class at 7:30, and they'll work through that class, and then they'll go to their B6 class and their B7 class, etc. Schedules will be released or scheduled to be released on August the 3rd if your back to school forms are filled out online on Skyward. If you haven't filled out your back to school forms, you will not get your schedule until the morning of August 10th. That's the same way we did it last year, so I encourage you to get those filled out. Freshman orientation. We are doing a virtual freshman orientation this year. So unfortunately, we can't bring our students on campus to welcome them and get them used to our Rowlett High School Eagle traditions. We can't do that quite yet. So we are putting together a virtual freshman orientation that we'll release. And we'll release that. We're scheduled to do that on Thursday, August 6th, which is the Thursday before school starts, and that's the date we normally would do it. But you'll see some advertisement of that on our website, on Twitter, on our Rowlett High School Facebook page. Just kind of watch it. We'll also email, of course, and do a call out. So if we have any freshman parents on here, that's coming. I'm also going to be hosting some student meetings. I may have said this earlier, I can't remember, but I did one with our students last Thursday, but I only met with some of our student leaders, not all of them, just some officers. I'm going to start opening that up to all of our students, and we may have students who are interested in joining for 20 minutes, and we may have students who just want to get the information from their parents. But I want to offer that because some of our juniors and seniors especially are interested in having a conversation with me, talking with me about what's happening and how things have changed and what they're going to be doing in a few weeks. So that's going to happen on Thursdays at 4:30. And I'll put the link out. It'll be on the website and on Twitter and Facebook and all of those ways that you can get to it. I'm going to begin doing the parent meetings every week as well, but I'm going to do those on Thursdays at 5. This week I did it on Sunday evening or Sunday afternoon, which is normally when your Monday memo would go out, but I know this is normally a family day, and so I don't want to interrupt that for you. So I'm going to do it on Thursdays at 5. And the great part about that is you can be driving home from work and put it on your phone and listen, or you can go back and listen to the recording, or you can log on if you're working at home and communicate with us. So it's 5:17, and these meetings are supposed to be about 20 minutes. That's what our admin staff has put together. And so there's just a few minutes left. I'm gonna look really quick at the back channel and see if there's any questions that may be good for the group that we can answer out loud. Excuse me while I move things around here. Oh, goodness. Well, it's coming. It's just spinning. I'm actually not at my house. We had a family emergency, and so I'm at a family member's house and grabbed a corner to do this meeting. So it's working. It's spinning. One of our administrators, if you're on here, oh, I see a few in the chat. Let me look at this while this other.
She just totally, I don't know how to.
You're muted.
Here we go. Sorry, can you hear me now? When it cut off, when it came back on, I was automatically muted. Thank you. So junior ROTC, that's a question that I see in the chat. The rest of it disappeared because my internet cut off for a second. Junior ROTC will be treated like fine arts. So if you're comfortable with your students coming after school for the drill rehearsal and all of that, then they are allowed to do that. If you're not, then they don't have to come to campus until you're ready. They can be a virtual learner and still keep their place in junior ROTC. They would not come to school for the class because that's considered to be kind of like fine arts, but they would come after school. So you are allowed to be in junior ROTC and not be a in-person learner until you're ready. Oh, and I don't see this question on there. Okay, somebody said they didn't hear ROTC, it's cutting out. You are allowed to be a member of the ROTC and be a virtual learner until you're ready to come to campus. So you're not gonna lose your spot. Now you wouldn't compete in the drill competitions if you can't be at practice, but you will be a part of the class online, even if you're a virtual learner. Transportation for students returning to campus, yes, transportation is working the exact same way it always has. Now, if you're a virtual learner, you would not qualify for transportation. So if you need to come for your after-school practices with athletics or fine arts, you would have to provide your own transportation to get there. If you're a virtual learner, the bus will not take you back and forth. The scheduling for remote learning. Somebody's asking about that. So I'm assuming you're talking about the synchronous learning, and that synchronous learning means you are logged on to the class just like you were at school. You'll log on at 7:30 and begin your first period class, and then you'll log on, you'll stay logged on, and you'll basically have to do an hour's worth of class for all 4 classes per day. So you won't stay on for 7.5 hours online like you would if you were at school, but you're required by TEA to be logged on for 240 minutes a day, which is 4 hours, which is basically 1 hour per class. They will not be watching a teacher talk for 1 hour or 4 hours. The teacher will give direct instruction as they need to, and then the students will be practicing on their own and getting feedback. They may be doing an activity with the class online. It will be very different than it was in the spring because we have a new learning management system. Let me read a couple more of these questions. Will devices from last year be returned? Good question. Devices, Chromebooks, will be checked out to students if you don't already have one, and there are hotspots available as well. On the commitment form that you had to fill out, okay, hopefully you can hear me. It cut off again. The commitment form that you filled out telling us whether your child will be virtual or in person, that asked you if you had a device for your child. So we're going to be using that information to get you electronic devices if you don't already have one. If you have one from last year, you're going to begin the year with that exact same device, and then technology will be communicating with you on whether you're going to exchange that for a different one, especially if you're a freshman coming from middle school. You're bringing yours with you, and then if they do some kind of rotation where they send them back to middle school, they'll communicate or we'll communicate with you at a later date. But for August 10th, we will be starting with the devices you had last year. If you don't have one at all, watch for communication because we'll be doing some distributions very soon. In fact, probably starting this next week. Good question. Somebody is saying in the chat, will school be from 7:30 to 11:30? No, not necessarily, because we don't want our students to be sitting staring for 4 hours straight. They're going to need some breaks. So we'll run a bell schedule similar to the one that we always run. And so students will do the first hour, 7:30 to 8:30, and then they'll log back on about 9:05 for second period. And then they'll take another break and come back on. We don't have that bell schedule nailed down because we're doing the exact same thing with all 7 high schools and plus the GRCT. And so we're in the process of making sure we're all making sure we're all doing the same thing before we roll that out to you. If you decide to send your child to school, what would you have to do? So there was that commitment form that you needed to fill out. And I'm assuming this question is, what if I change my mind? So if you say right now your child's going to be a virtual learner, and then you're 2 weeks into the school year and you decide, I don't think I can do this. I need my kid to go to school. They'll do better there. There'll be a little bit of leeway right at the beginning, but we're not going to be changing from virtual to in-person and in-person to virtual until the 9-week breaks. So, and I think you can understand that for master scheduling purposes, we can't be going back and forth constantly with students. It just won't work logistically. So whatever your choice is, you'll do that for the first 9 weeks. And at that 9 weeks, if you decide they need to come back in person, then yes, they could come back in person. I will tell you that as far as the choices so far, we have about a 60-40 split. So about 60% of parents are saying that they're going to do at-home learning or virtual learning, and about 40% are saying they're coming in person. And that was with about 50% of parents responding. So with the other 50%, it could change a little bit, and I'll get a report. In fact, late tonight, I believe I'll get the final report on who chose what, and then we're going to start contacting every single parent who did not fill out the form. That will start first thing in the morning. So office staff and administrators will begin calling everybody. So I hope a lot of you filled out the form. Otherwise, we'll be calling all of you. But as of Thursday, that's about, we had a 60-40 split. Let's see. Will football still have games? Somebody's asking that in a chat. That is something that's determined by the UIL. And as of right now, the answer is yes. We are beginning our season late, but we are still going to have games. But I would stay tuned because they could alter that at any time. Drill teams, morning practices. In first period class, yes. And if you're doing virtual learning, communicate with your drill team teacher about that, but you won't be coming to your class at 7:30, but you would be doing any before school or after school practices if you want to compete. That's the way that's set up for fine arts. I will also look at the back channel chat when we're finished, because this computer is just spinning. I don't know if y'all heard me a while ago when I said, but I'm not, we had a family emergency and I'm not at home. I'm at someone else's house. And so I had to find a little place to do this, and the internet is not as stable as it would have been at my house or at my office. So I apologize for that. Devices, we'll be in communication with you this week, but if your child has a device from 8th grade, they'll bring that forward with them to 9th grade. We use Chromebooks as well. And if you don't have one at all, we'll be giving you a plan to come pick those up at the campus, and we'll do a drive-through pickup like we did in the spring. Somebody's asking about ROTC again. It's the same as athletics and fine arts. If you're a virtual learner, you can be a virtual learner, still be a part of ROTC, but you wouldn't be in class during the day. You could come to after school practices, but you can't compete unless you're coming to the after school practices. But we don't want you to lose your spot in ROTC because of all this that's going on. So you'll be in the class. You just wouldn't be you'll be in the class online. You just wouldn't be in the class in person. So you can still be a part. Career and Technology Center. I'm glad somebody asked that. GRCTC. We do have some of those classes, of course, you need to be present to learn because it's hands-on. I mean, if you think about the firefighting school, some of the technology classes, you're not going to have the technology on your home computer to operate those. Or, I mean, there's like 90 certifications you can get through GRCTC, and a lot of it is hands-on learning. So some parents are asking, can my student do virtual learning except for GRCTC and then go there for that class? The answer is yes. At this time, if that's how you want to do it, you can go to the GRCTC on those days. But when you're in your math, science, English, social studies, you could do those virtually. That is correct. After school practices for athletics and fine arts would begin September 8th under the current order that we have right now, September 8th. All right, we're at 5:30, so we're gonna finish up, and I appreciate all of you for logging in, joining. We will answer the questions that are on the back channel if we haven't already, and we'll post those on the website, and we'll continue to communicate with you guys. You're always welcome to email us. We are back in the office for the most part, so you can call as well, and we will answer your questions to the best of our ability, and then as things change, we'll communicate that. Communication to this many people, obviously, as things continue to change, is very difficult. And I know you're hearing things and you're seeing things on social media, and then you hear something different, and it's a lot to keep up with for a parent. I understand, and I am so sorry. But what I will tell you is, when you're seeing things on social media, double check all of that with the Garland ISD website and with your campus or with us, because what you're seeing on social media is not always 100% accurate. And I don't want anybody to have anxiety and all that, because you're seeing so much that may or may not be true. Just ask us or look at our FAQs on the Garland ISD website. And honestly, there are things that we just don't have an answer to yet, just because of we're not in control of the protocols that are happening right now with federally, with the state, with the county. So we're having to react to some of that as it happens. So we appreciate your patience. We look forward to starting school again. Believe it or not, we just wish we could see our kids in person. And I just think that's the best place for them to learn. And but we'll get there. We're just going to have to take it one step at a time. So appreciate you guys. Check back for the answers on the back channel, and we'll get those answered for you. Appreciate it. Thanks so much.